Welcome back to Overtime. Some real estate markets have been seeing a Trump bump in prices since the presidential election earlier this month. Joining us now to discuss whether that can last is Brown Harris Stevens CEO Bess Freedman. Bess, it's great to have you on. Let's start right there, because we've had some real estate executives on in the past week or so who have said they've seen animal spirits ignite in the housing market post-election. Is that what you're seeing?
I mean, I love that description. Nice to see you, by the way. I think, yes, we've seen a pickup, but a lot of that has more to do with the fact that there's less uncertainty now that the election is over. Typically, after an election, we usually see an increase because people know who the incoming president's going to be. And so that's a good thing. But we still have what I call the troubling trifecta in housing, which are higher rates, mortgage rates, higher prices, and a lack of supply. So as much as I'd like to ride this wave of happiness, we have real issues in the housing market, and I'm hoping that will get better in 2025 if mortgage rates will come down a little bit and we get buyers and sellers back in the market, because that's been a real challenge as of late.
Okay. How much of that is going to hinge on Fed policy and rate cuts continuing versus a Trump administration coming in and maybe looking at housing policy a little bit differently, especially with taxes on the table?
Look, obviously, whatever the Fed does is important, and that could help. And look, there's only so much that the Fed can do because most regulation is overseen by state and local. So like in New York, it's not so easy to convert an office building into residential. There's a lot of bureaucratic red tape. So I'd love to cut a lot of regulation and start to build some housing, but it's not as easy as you say. But look, I'm rooting for a win. I'd like to see a lot more supply in the market, a lot of positive people getting into the market. The average buyer, first-time home buyer today is almost 40 versus 10 years ago, they were 28 years old. And so there's a slowdown in that promise of the American dream of buying a home. And we need to get back to that because it's super important for people, everyday people, to be able to buy a home. And I hope that we can do that with this new administration.
So I just mentioned tax policy. We know we have these SALT caps in places like New York, New Jersey, where I'm sitting right now, other parts of the country where you have a high property tax situation. You have lawmakers. I'll just start by saying the House has a very slim majority, particularly in the first 90 days. And you have lawmakers, including Republican lawmakers like Congressman Lawler in New York, who are saying they want to see that cap removed. How likely is it that that happens? If it does happen, what does it do in some of those markets like New York to, I guess, increase the inventory, increase the activity?
I think there's a good possibility that it happens. It expires in 2025 anyway. And it was sort of a punitive measure. And we want to get people who want to be a part of these places, who want to live here, who don't move to lower tax places. So I think it's a good probability, and it will increase people coming here, buying here in New Jersey, New York, all those things. So you never know what will happen. You know, I always say history is the study of surprises, so I don't like to be too sure about anything. But I'm hopeful that it will. We need to have we need to see change.
We're seeing some changes to broker fees, both across the country, but then also in New York, you've got this FAIR Act that was just passed by the city council. You got congestion pricing kicking in New York City, too, in January. How meaningful are these to the activity we are seeing in places like New York, where we've had a rebound?
Yeah, I mean, look, two things. The congestion pricing, I hope it doesn't penalize the everyday people who are coming from New Jersey who need to drive their trucks in and have their supplies. They can't take public transportation. We'll have to see how it impacts the city. I hope it raises money that we need. The jury's out on congestion pricing. But for the FAIR Act, you know, I think it was deeply irresponsible legislation. Mayor Adams has spoken out about this. I think what's going to happen is that for the long term, rents are going to go up. And I think the super left progressive city council needs to start collaborating more with people and understand the impact of this irresponsible legislation. It's a horrible thing in an environment where the rental market is already very high. They do not understand what they're doing. And I've spoken to them. I've testified there. It's deeply frustrating.